Hello, myself Sunil. This is the 13th number part of the PHP. So one of the person told me, why basically we require the PHP. So PHP is basically a web-based programming. Basically, there are two types of programming. Basically, one is the desktop and one is the web-based. Basically, in desktop, basically single user basically can able to display the programs basically, the projects basically. But if you do the networking, then the internet basically is there. Through internet basically you can able to access by the RDBMS software basically. That is the database basically. That Oracle is there, PLSQL is there. Like this basically, it's intranet basically. In intranet basically you created one system. Like this basically you can use a desktop application also. But in desktop basically you can't use in the web basically. That is a restriction basically. That basically we can't do anything with. There might be some reason basically. But exactly desktop like look and feel basically softwares are also available in the markets basically. But desktops basically are totally in your control of the PC. So basically if you are handling the Microsoft computer, then basically it's under Microsoft group basically. So here basically the internet group basically is not supposed to be accessible basically. So that is basically different topic basically. So here one of the person told that PHP basically is basically connected with the desktop web-based application, which basically gives the HTML output basically. So one of the person told that PHP basically are what basically. So one of the person told that PHP are set of user controls, text boxes are there, combo boxes are there, data entry screens are there, data has to be stored somewhere. So that is PHP basically. But that is basically web-based basically. So that basically each and every countries basically can able to access your software basically. Like basically the Rediff.com is there, Google is there, Yahoo is there, Flipkart shopping, Amazon shopping, there's RIL, Geo basically softwares are basically there. So these all are basically the internet related stuff basically. And internet is connecting like this basically. But internet basically is what? Set of cities connection basically, which is already tested by the internet departments. That is the telecom industry basically comes into the picture basically. So telecom industry plays very dangerous role basically. Telecom industry basically plays very dangerous role basically. I am telling you basically. So one person told that who are basically into the telecom industry plus IT industry, they basically can rule the world basically. Why? Because they have the telecom industry experience. They basically have the software industry experience basically. So one of the person told that telecom industry basically checks the internet stuff also basically. That also you can say. So what is internet? Before basically public basically use the stuff basically, that is basically tested basically, and few stuff basically are tested by the public only basically, because that required the certain level of data basically. If that data is not available basically you can't, and that is the live data basically which is basically coming from the internet basically, then only basically you can check it. In that basically if you are basically coming into the internet side basically, whatever data basically which is getting entered by the user, that you have to store somewhere basically. For that lots of people says that basically हमने तो ये बनाया, हमने तो वो बनाया. Oracle people say that basically we have our own software basically, we have basically our own data space basically, data spaces are there, data files basically are there. Like this basically they have created a own algorithm basically. Then my Microsoft basically say that basically we have created our own algorithm. Like this basically they stores the data into their algorithm. They basically only can able to decode the data basically. Oracle only basically can decode his data basically. So one of the person does like this basically, the PHP basically starts his journey basically like this by the internet. He basically stores the data. He basically is tied with the Oracle. He is basically connected with the PHP. He is basically connected with the MySQL server. He is basically connected with the MS SQL server. he is connected with the NoSQL server. Like this basically is connected with many database group basically. That one of the person told that who basically first comes into the picture. For example, PHP got created. So database group basically go there, or basically the PHP group basically give the approval or give the proposal basically. That's very dangerous thing basically. Who basically do this basically. So one of the person told that it might possible that PHP have to go. Few people says that database group have to go. Few people says that database group have to. Otherwise basically the PHP by chance basically got very famous basically. That time basically they will say that basically if we have approached long before, then our data might be entered into that database basically. So it connects to the business basically. That's why basically I'm telling that MBA departments basically plays very dangerous role. Faida basically. They basically immediately captures the stuff basically. That's why basically the log file basically comes into the picture. The one person basically is doing certain level of programming. This that basically is he basically connects to the particular level basically. So when he basically connects to the particular level, basically the log file basically comes into the picture. So the log file of the company basically, that is the Java company, .NET company, PHP company, they basically see that, अरे यार ये तो he basically connected up to this level basically. He basically connected up to this log basically. Sorry, he basically connected up to this physical places basically. So immediately basically they call, sorry bhai basically there is one requirement basically when this is the price, this is the salary basically we can offer basically the 1 crore 2 crore basically, so are you interested basically. So he basically might be thinking, yeah, what I have done basically, that basically they are basically offering 1 crore 2 crore basically. So like this basically the log basically comes into the picture, and logs plays very dangerous role basically, because assume that basically PHP basically is connected with Microsoft, and PHP basically say that basically we have created our own log file. So Microsoft basically you have to take care of this. But first access basically the Microsoft basically gets. But PHP basically are always connected. Why? Because it's a PHP DLL basically. They have the control. And from that DLL only basically they enters the data into the log file basically. So first access is PHP only always. Operating system is Microsoft. But DLL basically the PHP group basically enters the log file data into the database na basically. Database comes, sorry, log file basically. The log file basically comes later on basically. So up to that level basically the editors basically are created. You will not able to believe it basically. Certain level of editors basically are also created who basically judges the programmer skill basically. Up to that level AI basically editors basically are created. So you can just imagine basically the getting information basically up to the level basically by the creator. So PHP basically say that basically भाई हमने तो है ना एक अच्छा editor बनाया है. We have created one editor basically that will judge the, that is basically given the name of AI editor, AI judgment editor, that will give the judgment of the particular person basically. That up to what level basically he has reached in the programming of the PHP. After that basically the log file basically gets entered into the Microsoft. So nobody basically gives their control of the software basically. So Microsoft basically gets, so whatever basically the group basically are ready, they basically gets the information and they basically passes the, like this basically the log files are also created. Like this basically the lots of database basically are created and they basically are connected with the PHP departments. And basically PHP has created lots of their own frameworks that basically we have already discussed. So like this basically one of the person told that what do I need basically for PHP basically, to learn PHP, to create PHP websites, what basically we require. So that basically we have seen, and little bit more also basically we are going to see in next video basically.